So when I got a Big Five book deal years ago, today felt like light years away. And now, tomorrow, my debut book, When I Start My Business, I'll Be Happy, comes out everywhere books are sold. What is happening? I don't know. Let's talk about it. I wanted to sit down and chat with you cozy style. So, like, hopefully, you grab something cozy, pop in your headphones, go take a walk, do something. But I want to chat with you about what it's really been like behind the scenes to run a multi seven figure business, get a big five book deal. Both of my parents died, and somehow here we are the day before my book comes out. And today I'm answering the five most common questions that I've gotten about writing a book while running a multi seven figure business. Like why I chose to write a book, how I see it fitting into my business, how I was able to keep running my business, what it taught me about myself and being an entrepreneur, how I was able to keep running my business and market my book at the same time, especially because my book is not directly related to what I sell. I sell legal templates. I help online business owners legally protect their businesses. But my book teaches you how to market your online business, how to build out a marketing strategy and evergreen content and build funnels and all these kinds of things. It's not legal. So I get questions about that a lot. And at the end of today's episode, I'm going to share my raw, honest feelings with you about how I'm feeling with less than 24 hours to go until my book is available and in people's hands everywhere that books are sold. So let's dive into the first question. So I get this one a lot. People ask me, why did you decide to write this book? Or why did you decide to write a book? So I wanted to write a book that I thought should be the book that everyone gets handed if you knew that you were going to start an online business, right? If you wanted to start your own business and instead of you having to go down all these rabbit holes and downloading all these freebies and joining courses and buying up business coaches and all kinds of stuff, I just wanted this book to be your guide to building an online business. I also thought that from my own experience, I wanted to set realistic expectations for people who either are thinking about starting a business or already have one, but it's not quite going exactly how they envisioned it going. Because I was someone, as I share a lot about in the book, like I was a corporate lawyer. I left the law, I started my own business, and I thought, like, that would be it. Like, that was going to be the resolution to all of my problems. And it was going to be the one big pivot that I had to take in my life in order for everything to magically work out. Spoiler alert, not only did my business not make me happy, but through a series of events, I realized like, oh, that wasn't my business's job. Like my career doesn't have to be the thing that provides me with happiness. It doesn't have to cause me as much strife as being a corporate lawyer did, right? And that's okay too. But it also doesn't, it's not going to bring me like this resolution that I kept thinking, like, when this one thing happens, then I'll finally be happy. After joining the online business industry and like starting my own business here, I also wanted to write a book that was the unfiltered, no BS, like real advice that you need, like tactical, actual advice as to how to build a business from somebody who has professional business experience, both from an educational background, being a lawyer, my professional experience as a corporate lawyer, only worked for other business owners, and then running my own business is actually my second business. So I wanted to help people understand without any gross aspirational marketing or like spammy money tactics. I wanted to teach people how to actually build a real business. Last but not least, but I have to be honest, is probably my most personal part of this was that I wanted to write a book for any of you who have gone through anything personal as like what I've gone through. I had brain surgery. I lost both of my parents in pretty traumatic ways and within a year of each other and was growing not only running my business but actually growing my business alongside it. And oftentimes it was really annoying for me because when my dad was sick, for example, my dad had leukemia, I was caring for him, I was financially contributing a lot towards him and his care, and I kept hearing from other people like, you should just stop working, or you should like stop your business or stop doing this or stop doing that. And I'm like, first of all, that's not an option for a lot of people, right? Like that's a very privileged position when my dad was sick, was now in a position where I actually needed to work because I needed to make even more money, not only for myself, but to help him. And I was very concerned about the future with him, of where things were going to head. A lot of his like experimental medication was not covered. So there were all kinds of things. So I wanted to be able to take care of him and do the best that I could for him. So that was that. The second thing was that I really love my business. Like, yes, my job, my business doesn't make me happy. It's not the provider of my happiness, but I love what I do. And I didn't want to stop working. I mean, what was I supposed to do? I was caring for my dad all the time, going to the hospital with him all the time. And then it's like, I was just supposed to sit around. Like, no, I have a career, I have a job. I wanted to continue to advance myself, but I knew that that had to change. Like, that couldn't continue to be I couldn't continue to run my business the way I used to. And this is a lot of what I talk about in the book, was that, like, I started working less but smarter, and my business grew. So a lot of the motivation for me to write this book was like, I want to teach you how I did that, regardless of whether you have something horrific in your life or not, or if you have a more positive one, like you've had children, or you want to travel, or like you've, I don't know, had some life circumstance change. But I can tell you, in sharing my own story online, like at this point, I've gotten thousands of messages from people saying that they've been in a similar position and that they wanted to learn, like, how do I grow my business while all this stuff is going on? Question number 2. What surprised you about writing a book? Oh my gosh. So I would say, like, how different it felt from all the other content that I produce, right? So I thought, like, when I first got a book deal, I'm like, well, I write all the time. I write my weekly email. I've written thousands of blog posts. I've written thousands of captions, like all of these things, right? And then you go to sit down to write a book and you're like, oh, not the same thing. So for one, it's a lot longer. Spoiler alert. It's a lot longer. But also, even just like the structure of it is very different. And I'm kind of used to, I guess, in like my email newsletter, like being able to intersperse like images and gifs and emojis. I can be accused of overusing emojis. I just feel like they express so much. It's so much easier. So in a book, it was like, oh, okay, I have to do this a little differently. It's also really different. Like, if you've had your own business online, you've primarily built things off social media, had a podcast, YouTube, something like that. It's really interesting to then go and sit and write a book with a big five publisher, no less, who rightfully so was like, hey, people are going to pick up this book who have no idea what the heck you're talking about. Like, you use a lot of jargon, you talk about funnels, you talk about freebies, like everyone knows what this is. You, in a book, you have to slow down and you have to explain. So I had to, like, in my writing, really change my writing and be different, in the sense that I had to sit and think about, like, I always had this image of a random woman who's never heard of me before, never seen my stuff, walks into Barnes& and Noble because she's, like, curious about starting her own business, goes to the business section, sees my book, has never heard of me from anybody else, and doesn't follow me on Instagram, doesn't, consume this kind of content yet. Is she going to be able to understand what the heck I'm talking about? So that's really different than when you're creating content on, like, social media, or you're writing to your own email list. For like the last 8 years, I've been writing to my email list of 47,000 people who know what I'm talking about for the most part, right? So that was a really big shift that I think was a healthy shift, in terms of reorienting myself to, like, people might be new here. They might not understand what I'm talking about. So that was unexpected, but also helpful. I would also say how helpful it was to get feedback from my editor, Nana, and have somebody actually edit my work for the first time. And then once it went off to, like, the copy editors and everything. But that was really different for me too. I mean, having had my own online business now for 8 years, it's been a long time since I've been a corporate lawyer, and nobody's looking over. You get the nasty comment every once in a while from somebody who, whatever, it doesn't matter, but not from, like, a person who you're really, my editor, who's an incredible professional writer and who knows way more about it than I do. Obviously, I'm going to take her feedback and I'm going to pay attention and get better at writing. So that was just not something I expected to be like, oh, this is different. Like, it's been a long time since I've gotten feedback, and even if at certain times it stung or felt personal, which it wasn't, it just was like getting used to it. And kind of realizing that everybody on the publishing team, for example, and with me, had the same goal. Like we all wanted to produce a good book that was good for you. And so just like always looking at it through that lens, I mean, like, how can I make this better? How can I make this easier to understand? How can I make this clearer? Whatever. That was really unexpected. And I think also a very helpful benefit. Question number 3. How did you balance writing a book and running your business? So I think the most important thing is that I saw this book, or like eventually I saw this book as part of my business. So I know like a lot of times people would even in my own orbit be like, how's business and also the book? And it's like the essentially you have to shift your perspective to think like the book is essentially like an offering. Like I'm thinking of it as kind of a top of funnel introduction to my business. The book in and of itself is like a masterclass in marketing your online business, but you could then come into my orbit and maybe need my legal products, need the legal templates that I sell, join the ultimate bundle, or you start listening to my podcast or following me on Instagram or because you read the book. So, like, I see it as now just part of the business. I was also able to balance it by here's a couple of hot, honest takes. One, I have a really, really good team, right? And my team has worked overtime to the max. We are all pretty stretched thin. Like, I mean, I don't know how you wouldn't be at this point in terms of like we're just balancing the entire business plus balancing the launch of this book, which as much as I want to sit here and tell you like, oh, it's just like a product, it's like as if you were offering it's like a product on steroids. So, it's not just like a product, at least not to me, and it matters a lot to me. It matters a lot to me how it goes, and I want it to be well received and well read, and I want to help people and all that kind of stuff. So it's been a lot. So I have a team, so I'm not doing this alone. So that's a big reason. I have a great publisher. I have gotten so lucky with Hachette and Grand Central Balance. My publisher, they're incredible. They've done so much. They've helped a lot. Everyone has been so nice across the board and so helpful. So there are tons and tons of people behind the scenes that go into helping this thing work. In terms of how I made my business work and the book work on more of a like a logistical level, I essentially wove the book and promoting the book into the nooks and crannies in between my normal promos and launches. So, I can't afford for the business to not have its normal promotions like I normally do. Two big sales per year that are live, with like a live webinar, and then one over the summer that's a little bit lower of a lift. And I put those on my calendar when I did my annual planning. Like, those are non negotiable, those have to go on. So then we have to, in between those times when normally I would just go back into email list building mode and I would only be focused on like, how else am I building up my email list between these promos? Now I had to go into like, hey, by the way, I have a book that's coming out. So I kind of wove it in there. I did a whole big launch back in January when the pre-order started, and I got to unveil the cover and share that with everyone and offered 2 bonuses. I kind of like wove this in between all of those promos. As kind of like a backdoor marketing strategy, and honestly, I wasn't even doing this so much on purpose as I was as out of necessity, but I documented the crap out of the book process. Every single thing I've done along the way about the book, from literally the book proposal, I talked about it. Trying to find an agent, I talked about it. When I got Wendy Sherman, my agent, I talked about how I secured my dream agent and how I was like so excited. And then I talked about how we were shopping it around to publishers and how I was bullish that I really wanted a big 5 book deal. I shared when I got a big 5 book deal. I shared when it was published in Publishers Marketplace. And that's like the big announcement for authors. So I shared that. I shared the writing process. Oh my goodness, I shared the writing process so much. I took everybody to the library where I wrote most of it. I took everybody to coffee shops. I shared the moments that were difficult to write, the moments that felt more fun. I would read excerpts. I would get on Instagram and read excerpts. Oh my gosh, I just shared so much about the book process. And then when it got to editing and the copy edits and the proofs and designing the cover and going to New York for 4 days and recording the audiobook, like literally everything, unboxing it for the first time. I've shared all of it along the way. I say that because when you are building something really big in your business, sometimes you're like, I don't know how to teach this because I'm doing it. And I think that my book process is a good example of like just show what you're doing. You don't need to tell me anything really right now. Just show me like what you're doing. And you don't need to even tell me why. Just show me how you're doing it. That's all. And so I didn't know as I was doing that, like, hey, I'm showing you me writing this book at the library so that 2 years from now, you want to buy my book. Like, I just shared, like, hey, I'm at the library writing my book. Like, I've got 2 hours in between meetings and I'm squeezing this in. Or I've challenged myself to write 2,000 words today. Like, here's how I did that. Right. Like, that's what I would share. Also, this is not something I've really talked about elsewhere, but I think the only way I was able to run my business and launch this book or produce this book at all was by having seasons of deep work and going a little bit more off the grid than I have in the past. So there were periods over like when I owed the manuscript, the final full manuscript, for example, I think I went off social media for like at least a month or two. I was like trimming down how much I was posting. I paused my podcast on your terms last summer when I needed to finish the manuscript. Like, there just have been different times when I've gone a little bit more off the grid and had to protect myself. And I think if I've learned anything big from the launch of this book, it's that in the future, I will be better about giving myself periods of deep work. And I see like the benefits of deep work in the long run. Like, it's really your business's addition of savings, high interest savings or something like that, because it feels like, oh, I should be posting on social right now. I felt so bad about like pausing my podcast, for example, and I was like, oh, everyone's going to stop listening and I thought it was going to hurt my business and it didn't do anything. I needed that time to put my head down and get the deep work done, like the big picture things that are actually going to move your business forward. Now, most of the time that's not a book, but for you it might be creating your online course or finally creating that digital product, right? Like creating your first funnel. If you go read my book, you'll learn how to build out a funnel for a digital product or a course or a membership. And so, that stuff takes a lot of time. You can't be posting on Instagram stories every day and producing a podcast and be on YouTube and writing your email newsletter and like producing this major body of work, right? So I just wanted to share that because I wanted to, I don't know, normalize and safe, like how safe it can be in order for you to do that for the long run. Okay, question number 4. What have you learned about yourself by writing this book? All right, well, definitely how strong I am to have even gotten this book out of me in the first place because I literally got the call from Wendy, my agent, at like 3 something on a Friday in May. And she told me I got the book deal with the publisher that I really wanted, a big 5 publisher. And then my mom died a few hours later. So, yeah, I admittedly, it's not that I wasn't happy about getting the book deal, but it was like, yay. I mean, what are you going to do? So that was really hard. Luckily, I guess, for the first few weeks, months, they are still hammering out the details of like contracts and when things are due and payment schedules for the advance and all these kinds of things. So I had about a month or so after my mom died where it was still like, hey, you're gonna write this book any second now, but like get yourself together, essentially. And everybody was really nice about it, very kind, very patient. But there's nothing that anyone can do to prepare you for that. And so the fact that whenever I start spiraling about how I'm feeling, I come back to how freaking strong I am. I was like, how I can't believe I actually got this done. Right. So, in a way, there's a part of me that's like, no matter what anybody says or what everyone thinks of it, like, you're never going to make everybody happy. But even if everybody hates it, I have to like it because I have to be like, "Dang, how'd you get that done?" If I had a friend, if you told me that this happened to you and then you produced a book out of all of it, like on time and participated in all of it, and oh, by the way, your business kept going and actually grew during this time, I'd be like, "How the heck did you do that?" I'd be worried about you and also wonder if you needed a nap, but I would be really impressed. And so I have to give that to myself, right? It's not fair for me to give that only to other people. So I share that in the sense that if you are worried about how your work's going to be received or your content and you've been through it, like you need to be proud that you've even been able to do it and that you've showed up. I think that the book has also been this incredible opportunity for self-development and some growth opportunities for me because It's I am very uncomfortable, as you will read about in the book. I've had a very difficult childhood, and it will make a lot of sense to you. But I had a really hard time, like, putting myself out there and taking up space and like thinking I was worthy of all of this stuff and the attention. And it's been a challenge writing this book, promoting this book, to ask people for help, to go into bookstores to random people I don't know and say, "Hey, I'm Sam Vander and I'm the author of When I Start My Business, I'll Be Happy." Like, and introducing myself and everybody just looking at me and being like, "Sure you are, lady. Like, you have to have guts." And so it has invited me to get some guts and grow into the role of, like, somebody called me a writer the other day, and I was very quick to be like, "I'm not a writer, I'm a lawyer," right? And I'm like, "Well, no, actually, I am a writer." I'm like, How am I gonna I'm not gonna be able to escape that moving forward. I'm a published author as of tomorrow, right? So, and that's something I want to embrace. Like, I know that there's that when I deny it, it's coming from that uncomfortable part of myself that's just not comfortable, like, thinking I'm worthy of being called that. Question number 5, the real question. How are you feeling on this book eve? Oh gosh, I feel like it's the night before the wedding over here. I am full of all of the emotions. So, mainly, I am excited. I am excited. I don't know how you couldn't be excited. This is my first time, obviously, producing a book. I'm really excited. Like, it's already been really fun. I mean, I have loved every part of it. I loved writing it. I didn't love what was going on in my life while I was writing it because my mom had just died after my dad had just died. So I was pretty depressed while I was writing it, but I I actually did like writing it a lot. I loved editing it. That was even more fun. Going through that process. And then I love, if you follow me on Instagram, you know, I love doing the audiobook. It was like acting. It was so much fun. It was such an experience. So I've really liked every part of it. The marketing, like, I remember when I first got this book deal, I was like, "Oh, I can't wait until I get to market it," because it's like a totally new avenue for me. Like, I've just marketed legal products for so long. So I've really enjoyed that too. I've gotten to do an insane number of interviews, podcast interviews. I've traveled to Chicago to go interview with Nathan Barry, the CEO of Kit. Like, I've done all of these really cool things, and I know that there's even more to come. So, in general, I'm really excited. I keep imagining, like I was saying earlier, I keep imagining that woman walking into Barnes and Noble or her local bookstore and like seeing my book. And I think if you're an online business owner who works really hard to like build an audience and is like, I don't know, social media to me feels like I'm standing in like a warehouse, like screaming on a microphone, but I'm like in a warehouse of other creators who are also screaming on microphones. And I'm just like competing to get heard. I just feel like, I don't know, there's something that's exciting to me about the idea of just a book, like sitting on a shelf. It's quiet. Someone sees it, they pick it up, and they, like, decide to purchase it, and, like, somebody who never found me through social or any other thing, like, I don't know, you're having maybe something tangible that they get to give to a friend. That's really exciting. I'm excited for the lasting power of a book, the longevity. I think in our kinda, like, online business world, there are just not many opportunities to feel like you've created something that has a lot of lasting power, and so this is pretty exciting. But I'm not gonna lie, I am terrified. I am also terrified. Um, yeah, where do I even start? I mean, I'm terrified of what people will think of it. I mean, come on, who wouldn't? Um, a lot of the book is very raw, very vulnerable. Tells a lot about my story, my childhood, my experiences that are very hard to talk about. And I wanted to talk about them. It was very cathartic. And I know that a lot of people are going to relate because when I've shared snippets about this on social media, people are like, it's just crazy how many of you reach out and say that you've unfortunately experienced something very similar. And so I know it's going to help a lot of people, but I also feel like raw, 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 right? So I feel very, I don't know, I already feel vulnerable. I imagine I'll feel vulnerability hangover later, right? But yeah, I'm nervous. I'm nervous what people will think. I know it sounds stupid, but even though my mom unfortunately was killed, she's no longer alive, but like I'm worried what she's going to think about what I've written about her. I'm worried what my dad thinks about what I've written about my mom, and he's also unfortunately not alive. Unfortunately, those like feelings just don't go away. And Yeah, I'm just worried. And then I'm worried just whether people are gonna like it, whether people will criticize me, and then when something feels very personal and people criticize it, it's hard not to feel, hard not to take it personally. So I'm worried about all that stuff. But like I said, I'm just like, well, who wouldn't feel that way? Like I just don't know if I mean, would you feel that way if you put out a book? You have to tell me if this was the night before you putting out your first book, like wouldn't you be terrified? I think so. Also, I am really excited for this week. Okay, so today kicks off a very exciting week. Let me give you a little preview because you're actually going to see a vlog about this later in the month. I'm going to share all the behind the scenes of this week, but today my Lindsay comes in, as I call her. So Lindsay is my director of operations for the company. She's flying in to get everything all started. We're going to get things situated today. Tomorrow, obviously, the book comes out, so we're going to have all kinds of things going on behind the scenes, some media stuff, all that. I'm gonna go get my hair done, and then we are having a major party out here on Long Island. So many of my friends are coming from all over the place. All my friends here on Long Island, my friends from the gym, like my entire neighborhood's coming. Like just so many people are coming to this. So I am really, really excited to have this party. I'm excited for the food. We've got drinks, we've got the whole thing. So we're doing that tonight. Tomorrow, I'm taking some of my friends to the Hamptons, which is close to us, or we're going to hang here around my house, do some things here on the North Shore of Long Island. And then on Thursday, we all kind of migrate into the city, and I'm hosting a huge blowout party in New York City to celebrate my book. All my publishing team's coming, my agent Wendy's coming. I've got even more friends flying in for that one. So we've got all that. In between, we're going to Barnes& and Noble. We're signing books. We're going to sign books at bookstores in New York, do all of that. And then on Friday morning, I'm taking all my friends who have flown in and traveled in for this week out to brunch in New York City before everybody heads home for the weekend. So I am so excited, and you're going to get a full vlog. I've never done a vlog like this before, and I am very excited to share it with you because I really want to take you with us if you can't be there in person. I want to show you what's been going on. So this has been a wild ride so far. I can't, for the last like 4 years leading up to this moment, I cannot believe that tomorrow is a day that my book comes out. And I am so excited to see where this all goes. I have an open heart and an open mind, and I'm just so appreciative that you're here with me on this journey. And if you haven't yet, make sure you grab a copy of my debut book, When I Start My Business, I'll Be Happy, wherever books are sold. She's beautiful, and she's going to help you learn how to build and grow an online business that fits with your life, that doesn't drive you crazy, and that doesn't have you beholden to social media if you don't want to. I'm going to teach you how to build an email list, a funnel, and your first $1 million digital product online. So grab your copy of When I Start My Business, I'll Be Happy, wherever books are sold. And don't forget, if you grab a copy of my book before April 18th, you'll actually get access immediately to my free email list builder course that teaches you how to add 1,000 subscribers to your email list and my easy email list building strategies. Make sure you grab your copy of my book so that you also get that free email course, and you'll get access to my No BS book club this May, where I'm going to do 4 live sessions walking all the people who've purchased my book through how to implement everything I teach you inside of it. See you next week. Thanks so much for listening to the On Your Terms podcast. Make sure to follow on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you like to listen to podcasts. You can also check out all of our podcast episodes, show notes, links, and more at samvanderwielen.com/podcast. You can learn more about legally protecting your business and take my free legal workshop, 5 Steps to Legally Protect and Grow Your Online Business at samvanderwielen.com. And to stay connected and follow along, follow me on Instagram at samvanderwielen and send me a DM to say hi.